It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm your host, Kevin Keatsman, with you until the Vince Show comes your way in about an hour or so on a Victory Monday. It does not matter where you are. There's victory everywhere. There was victory at Arrowhead. There's victory in Israel. There's victory globally. There's victory everywhere, and we're going to celebrate all of it today on this episode of Uncanceled as the president is taking a victory lap in Israel and Egypt after striking a peace deal in the Middle East and putting together a very interesting coalition that he's calling either the Group of Peace or the Board of Peace. And we'll get into a little bit of that because it's very un-Hitler-like for him to do that. I don't understand. I don't think Hitler was putting together a group of peace. I could be wrong. We'll lead with that coming up in just a couple of moments. Also, 60 Minutes, Lesley Stahl. Remember many years ago, Lesley Stahl had her little dust up with Donald Trump on 60 Minutes, and it proved she was wrong. What she was discussing and talking about, and Trump was right. Another hit piece this weekend that I did not see. I've read the account of it. I haven't seen it, but I've got a pretty good idea what it is, folks. They went out and found a guy who wrote a book called 1929, which is, of course, when the economy crashed. Because, you know, things were going so well in the roaring 20s, and then it all just crashed. And I think that's probably where they're going with this thing, is that this is all fake under Donald Trump. We will talk Chiefs football. We will never, on this broadcast, never not talk Chiefs on Mondays and Fridays for sure, or depending on when their game day is. I mean, a spectacular performance Sunday night. I feel completely vindicated. I know many of you were disappointed when you heard me say on Tuesday that I actually felt better about the Chiefs after the Jacksonville loss than before the game, because it was just a complete and utter fluke that they lost that game. They are clicking, folks. We'll get into that, talk about some of the storylines around it. And I've got a really heartwarming story about a pastor in Colorado that has had a moment go viral that his Ring camera caught on his front porch with he and his family praying. You're going to like that story. It's all straight ahead and Uncanceled, and I think Mark and I will take our... Well, look, did you win your pick on Friday? I lost. I had Iowa State. I lost, right?
Yeah, I had Bucks minus 2.5.
Okay.
So that was a good.
Good to go. So we're 8-6 combined. Mm-hmm. Are we about even now?
Yeah.
Both about 4-3, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Why was I following you down the Iowa State rabbit hole?
I thought that was a good one. They're melting down, I guess.
Every pick is great until it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those things. If you could make a pick and they had lines on Donald Trump winning, I mean, it's just unbelievable how many things he's getting done. And this was an appropriate victory lap in Israel today. And it's so funny because he wants the world to know it. And he shares, you know, they always talk about, oh, Trump's big ego and he's always got to be the center of attention. And he was all, and that there's some truth to that. But have you ever seen a president ever in your lifetime give more credit to his lieutenants, his cabinet, his staff than Donald Trump? And he was effusive in his praise today. They were all there. Marco Rubio probably got the biggest applause. Trump would say at his speech in Israel that Marco Rubio will go down in history as the greatest Secretary of State in United States history. And Trump absolutely believes that. Now, I'm not a historian. I don't know where to start. A lot of people would think Kissinger. And Trump threw Kissinger under the bus today in his speech and said, I would say Kissinger, but he was a leaker. That man was a leaker. Marco's not a leaker. I mean, everybody's got, if you're not a Trump person, everybody's got something wrong. But hidden and buried in all this thing with the hostages being freed, and it's a great moment, it is good for the global economy. Peace and stability are good for all of us. Certainly, it's great for humanity to not have people killing each other. Like, there's some really big picture things here. The more peace that spreads around the world, the more prosperity there's going to be. When there's prosperity globally and peace globally, guess who wins more than anyone else? You and me. Citizens of the United States of America always win the most during peace and prosperity, always. And so this is pretty cool. And Trump even made some comments today that says he's got the hand of friendship open to Iran. Please join us in protecting this region and making it peaceful. We want you to be part of this if you're willing to actually be part of it. He's starting something called a Group of Peace. They have the Group of 8. They've got all these different, groups that they have from different countries, coalitions. This one's massive, and they're all lined up in Egypt. And he's speaking in front of them today, and there are so many people involved and committed to creating peace in the Middle East, which, again, may not be like your most single important thing. Most of us in our lifetimes, let's be honest, we're Americans. We've all given up on peace in the Middle East. I've walked around my whole life saying, yep, that's not happening. That's not happening. It's not happening. If it can happen, it will happen through prosperity. If all these countries get richer and have better lives, maybe their hate for someone else lessens just a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Trump's playing here. And I don't have some grand hope that the Middle East is going to be peaceful the rest of our lives even. Certainly not for 500 years or whatever. But Trump announces he's going to put this group of peace together, and we'll pretty much know by the end of the day who all the countries are in on this thing. And he said, then we're going to have a board of peace. Doesn't that sound great? And people looked around like, a board of peace? Is that like a Monopoly game? He goes, no, like a board of directors. He said, I've got these countries lined up, and I know who we want to be on the board, and they all want me to chair it, and I just didn't see that coming. I'm like, yes, you did, Donald Trump. You were putting the board of peace together to chair the board. Of course you did, or somebody from the United States will chair the board. But this is all really big stuff. It sounds Trumpian. It sounds overly optimistic. He's that way. You cannot tell this man there's something he can't do. And if he can put together a group of countries, a coalition, and a board of peace that is like, Trump has complete disdain for the United Nations. He thinks it's a failed, useless entity that countries just funneled billions and billions of dollars into, and it fails. And he's right. The United Nations doesn't keep peace. Trump in 9 months has created more peace than the United Nations had in the last 20 years. So him putting together a coalition of peace-loving countries sounds reasonable to me. I don't think Russia gets a seat at the table right now. I don't know why they would. But I'll ask you this. We keep hearing about China, and there's a lot of bad things about China. I get it, man. They got slaves. They're really backwards in a lot of the things that they do. I keep hearing about how they're going to take Taiwan. They're going to do this. They're going to take that. For the most part, it seems to me, as big as they are, that they're really not interested in conflict much. Their conflict would rather be, and maybe this is what the Board of Peace is all about. For somebody like China, it seems more like it's about technology, spying, intellectual property, things like that. They want to mine our data and our information and harm us in all kinds of ways. They will interfere in elections, I feel like, if they could. But as far as just old school, hey, we're going to bomb you or attack you or whatever, doesn't seem like that's really China's game. So I don't know where these countries like this fit in on this board of peace or the group of peace, but I'm really interested in this because if it's, 15 or 20 countries that are all really committed to peace and rebuilding the region and spreading peace throughout the world, that's a common human principle. It's clearly the teachings of most religions, not all, most religions teach peace. It seems like the one thing that, regardless of how we worship or what our societies are about or our civilizations, we ought to be able to be in agreement on. Let's put together some real countries that are committed to this. We got 3 more years of Trump. Let's get it started. Let's spread some peace and see if we can't do some good. And maybe it's such a powerful organization that pressure is applied to Russia and that thing can end and we can get Russia and Ukraine over with. If we do that, there's obviously still hate and conflict around the world. I'm not saying that there's not, but this is a big, bold idea. Trump's saying the UN is done. I'm going to put something together better than the United Nations, and we're going to have a heavy hand in this because if we're going to fund everything like we fund everything around the world, we're at least going to put it together the way we think it should be run. And I think that's awesome. And I think it's awesome that he's offered a hand of friendship to Iran. I've never hated an Iranian person in my life. Americans don't have this for these people in the Middle East. We're very, very, very upset at the jihadists, at the militant faction of the terrorists, no matter where they're from in the Middle East. But I don't really identify, I may be different. I don't identify one country and go, okay, those are the bad guys. When we talk about countries, that's different than the crazy jihadists. okay? That's different than Hamas for me. I identify Hamas is sick. They're sick. And I don't think this is the end of them, but if they can be corralled a little bit and brought to maybe just a little higher standard globally and with more countries, maybe they won't be so dangerous. These are all good things. They're all good for us as American citizens. These are all tied together in very one nice piece. Now, we had a crazy day on Friday because Trump made a comment about 100% tariff with China. Scott Bessent has done an interview this morning, and he has said the de-escalation has occurred massively over the weekend, that we de-escalated. And yes, there's a deadline right now of November 1st for the tariffs going up. It's currently 55% with China, which is a nice tariff, folks. It's plenty, to be honest. That's plenty. And Trump's threatening 100 because of mineral rights and precious metals and something that China's doing. So it escalated, and the market crashed 1,000. Went down 1,000. And today, it's 2/3 of it's all the way back up. But they de-escalated apparently over the weekend, and Bessent says that Trump will be meeting with Xi very soon in South Korea. They're going to meet face-to-face in South Korea. So hopefully there'll be some sort of a permanent agreement that's going to come to fruition, and they will both go there and meet in South Korea and sign that, and that'll be the end of our markets going crazy over this China, that China, whatever. Let's get this done, because he doesn't want to be the president for 3 more years and have this continuing on. Folks, it seems like he's been president a long time, and it seems like this tariff thing's been around for about 16 years. It has not. It's only been a few months, and it's been a wild roller coaster, and Trump doesn't want that either. He wants to get it solved. He wants to watch the market grow. He wants to see the economy grow. He wants interest rates down, and he wants people in America to prosper. These are all good things. 913-408-7957 is our phone number. That's 913-408-7957. You don't always have to call me about the opening monologue, folks. You got something on your mind, bring it. If you want to talk about those Chiefs, I'll take those calls. Whatever you got on your mind today. We've got a really broad audience here of people that like a lot of different things. So bring it to me, and we'll take your calls. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Thank you, Vince. Looking forward to it. I hear it every single day. Appreciate the great work he does here on KCMO Talk Radio. Thanks for being with us on this Victory Monday. In our next segment, we're going to talk a little Chiefs and get into it. And the reason why I think, I'll tease it right now. I think they're the best team in the NFL at 3-3. I'll make a case for it. They may not be. They may not be. We'll get into that coming up in just a bit. 60 Minutes did a hit piece yesterday on Donald Trump because, Trump's not doing anything good. We got to bring this man down. We cannot have lower taxes and peace all over the world and closed borders and a stock market that's killing it. We just can't have this. We got to badmouth the orange man. So they decide to do that while he's solving wars. Leslie Stahl, who's a longtime Trump hater, proven to be wrong in the past while interviewing Donald Trump, finds a guy named Andrew Ross Sorkin, who has written a book called 1929 about the stock market crash. But you don't write a book almost 100 years later about the stock market crash unless you have a real reason and purpose to do it today. And his real reason and purpose to do it today is, well, Donald Trump's about to push us all off a cliff. It's going to happen again because, Trump. So she's interviewing him about 1929, the book, and he says, yes, I'm anxious right now. The stock market's too good. So they skipped right over doing any stories about the stock market doing well and just went to, it's too good, it has to be fake. So this author goes on to say, either AI and technology are truly such a big deal that it's fueled this market, or we're about to crash like 1929 and it's all overpriced and we're all in huge trouble. He doesn't know which. Nowhere in there was he saying, oh, well, it could be that Trump knows what he's doing and things are going well here and, the market's up and all those. It's never that. No. Either AI and tech will prove that this is actually okay, or Trump will kill it. That's the only two options. AI and technology, great. Trump, bad. There's your two options. So she's talking to him, and she says, or we are reliving, and the author interrupts her and says, 1929. Exactly. I mean, This used to be the most important piece of electronic journalism anywhere in the world. And it is such a joke now what 60 Minutes is doing. Now, they've got new owners. They might clean this thing up. Skydance owns the corporation now. Maybe CBS News will take some serious adjustments. They've probably been working on this piece for 3 months, so that was before the Skydance merger was done and everything else. But what a terrible way to live your life. To say, can you imagine the 15 producers sitting around a big table in New York at 60 Minutes? It's like June. Well, things are going well. The tariffs haven't hurt the markets. I don't know. He's bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. The border's closed. What can we do? Well, maybe if the markets do really well, they'll crash like 1929. Let's do a segment on that. And you're looking for something bad. That you spend every day looking for something negative so you can give it to the American people and take away any optimism that may be building. That's really their game. And it's really, truly sad. But I'll give you something a lot more than optimism. We like good stories here at Uncanceled. We like feel-good stories, and this one's a doozy. Pastor Neil Seward of Castle Rock, Colorado, placed a Papa John's order last week for he and his family. The delivery driver, Susanna, arrived to drop off the order, realizing at that moment she had the wrong order with her. Pastor Neil told Fox News. "I'm sorry, I'm getting old," Susanna told the family, adding that she saw order number 57, but she grabbed number 67. "I screwed up. I'm so sorry." Pastor Neil replied, "Don't you for 1 second feel bad. We love you and Jesus loves you, and we hope you have a great night." The pastor, his wife, and their 3 young daughters then all gathered on the front porch with her. They placed their hands on the woman's shoulders and they prayed for her. Quote, "When she was explaining herself," Pastor Neil said, "I really felt the love of God for her, and I wanted to do anything I could to relieve any pressure and anxiety she was feeling." He said he learned to trust having compassion for a stranger, adding that it's always an opportunity to shine our light and help somebody experience love. Pastor Neil said, quote, "I didn't want her to experience just our family's love. I wanted her to experience God's love too." This was caught on their Ring camera. This was not some teenage girl making TikTok videos and staging something to throw it out there on the internet. It has been seen something like 7 million times because he shared it on their Facebook group with their church, with the congregation. Well, those people obviously shared it and shared it and shared it, and it's gone viral. Most times when we talk about things going viral in America, it's got a very negative connotation to it. Most viral things are not good. But boy, the ones that are good are just glorious. And this was one of those moments that nobody would have ever known about. In fact, I don't think they would have even thought, hey, the Ring camera's recording this. I'm sure they saw their alerts and saw it later. It was so beautiful seeing these little girls, and they're pretty young girls, standing there with that stranger, Susanna, who is, by pizza delivery standards, probably a little older than most, with their hands on her shoulders, and she's crying and feeling the love of the family and of her faith. There's some great things that go on out there in the world, and we don't talk about them enough. We don't recognize them enough. We don't see them enough. But it's very easy for all of us to frequently say the internet's a wasteland, social media is stupid, all that stuff. Man, the very best of the human race is out there for everyone to see as well. It exists on a daily basis. People see it, they live it, they feel it, and we should always remember that if we can. Okay, we're due for a break. The news is coming right up. When we come back, why I think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL on KCMO. The Vince Show's coming your way at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us on this Victory Monday. The Chiefs win over the Detroit Lions 30-17 in a terrific performance that started out, it was terrifying because the Lions were just, when I was growing up, my dad had a snowplow on the front of his truck. He was one of the first guys in the city to have it. It was homemade. He built it. He built his own snowplow. And it reminded me of that. They were just pushing the Chiefs back and running the ball. Somehow Steve Spagnuolo finds anything out. I'll say this. The Chiefs' defense is almost always going to figure it out against a stationary quarterback. Jared Goff doesn't run. That one scramble he had last night was his longest run of the year. He came into that game with 8 carries for 9 yards. There's only 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the NFL that don't scramble and run, and he's one of them. So I figured there was a way, if they just stopped the run, that eventually was going to work out. Holding the highest scoring team in the NFL to 17 points was nothing short of terrific, especially after the hard start that they had. But everybody's talking about the Chiefs' offense, and rightfully so. They're better offensively without Rashee Rice right now than they were at any point last year, maybe any point the year before. So let me tell you what I think happened. And I mentioned this last Tuesday after they lost to the Jaguars. I said I feel better about the Chiefs today than I did before the game and maybe before the start of the season. I couldn't give them a lot of credit for going up and down the field on the Ravens because the Ravens' defense has been so bad. Jacksonville was different, and it was on the road, and the Chiefs' offense looked terrific. They outgained their opponent by 150 yards. Then they show up against the Lions in this thing and just can't be stopped. They had a wonderful night. Everything has changed with Kansas City, but this time around it's a little different. When Andy Reid got Patrick Mahomes, he basically rewrote how to play football. They started using all this misdirection, all these pop passes, all these little things, and the offense just became something that people were completely confused by. The rest of the league followed suit. Pretty soon, 20 teams are doing a lot of the things the Chiefs are doing. It becomes easier to defend because the defensive coaches figure it out. Andy Reid, the last couple of years, for all of his greatness as a coach, has refused to do one thing that they have completely and totally embraced now, and it's making all the difference in the world. They're not completing 50-yard passes downfield, but they're sending receivers 50 yards downfield and completing a lot of 25-yard passes. They're also sending two receivers 50 yards downfield, and Mahomes is scrambling for 16 yards. It's happening over and over and over. And now in 2 consecutive games, they have called running plays for Patrick Mahomes, which was absolutely against every rule Andy Reid ever had, unless it was January. They wouldn't do it. What Andy saw is what I saw over the last 2 years, and I've been screaming for 2 years, unleash Mahomes. Let him run. Call a player to a game for him, but stop telling him to throw the ball away incomplete. Get out of the pocket and go get 7 yards. Why throw it away? There's no reason to. When you think of the great quarterbacks, the really great ones, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, they've all missed a year because of injury somewhere. Brady got the leg injury. Peyton Manning got his neck hurt. Aaron Rodgers broke a collarbone. Every single time, a player of that caliber, the good ones who know how to manage a game and know how to slide and know how to not get themselves hurt, every single time it was behind the line of scrimmage. Patrick Mahomes is not in any danger past the line of scrimmage unless it's the Super Bowl and he's diving at a pylon or something and gets whacked in the head because it's the biggest play of the year. That's not going to happen on a Sunday night in October. He's going to slide. He's going to take care of himself. He had one run last night where he did a dumb thing. We saw it. He got knocked around like a pinball. The numbers are in on Mahomes. He has 38 carries for 222 yards this year. All of last year, he had 307 yards. He's averaging 6.3 carries per game versus 3.3 last year. So he's doubled the number of carries. This is by design. His interceptions are down because of this. He's not standing in the pocket trying to force it. They're like, go ahead and get out of there, Patrick. Go. He has 15 total touchdowns. He has 4 rushing touchdowns this year. He had 2 all of last year. Mahomes is going to wind up with double-digit touchdowns this year. He is. He's turning into an unbelievable fantasy player if you play fantasy football. But getting him out and creating that, you are never going to hear me say, oh, they can't keep running him or he's going to get hurt. Nope, that's not the game anymore, folks. The NFL has changed, and we are 2 years too late on this thing. This should have been going on in 23. It definitely should have been going on last year, but the reason it wasn't is the Chiefs were winning every week. If you're winning every week and Mahomes is not running, you're not going to change up. So I understand that. But the entire league that used to follow the Chiefs are now following. They're doing exactly what every other team in the league has a guy that can scoot just a little bit. I'm not talking about you design your offense around a running quarterback. That's not it at all. You saw what happened with the Jaguars last Monday night. What gave them life against the Chiefs? What kept them in the game and gave them life? Trevor Lawrence scrambling yards. What do you have, 50-some? He had 50-some scrambling yards in that game. Jacksonville gets blown out if he doesn't scramble for those yards to keep drives alive. It's lethal, and the Chiefs have embraced it. It's fantastic to see. The second thing that happened is exactly what I said last Tuesday. I feel better about the Chiefs than I did about them last year. I feel better than I did the day before the Jacksonville game. Chris Collinsworth said last night during the broadcast that he spoke with some people with the team that told him kind of like confidentially, we feel so much better about this year's team than last year's team. It's hard to say when you're 0-2 or you're 2-3, but when you're 3-3 and you just did what they did last night, it seems pretty easy to say. I'll keep my eye on the Bills. They play tonight. Their defense is no good. Look, there are no great defenses in the NFL. The offenses are all too good everywhere. But the Chiefs are just astoundingly good in game at making adjustments when they get off to slow starts and it looks like they're going to give up 40 points. And then you look at the end of the night and you're like, wow, Detroit only scored 17. How about that? It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, I'm watching Chris Jones in the first quarter last night, and he is gassed. In the first quarter, he's sweating. He's on the bench with oxygen. You're like, this old man ain't going to make it through the game tonight. And there he is in the fourth quarter, just snowplowing his way back into the quarterback to disrupt the play. It's unbelievable. And this offense, it doesn't matter who he throws to. He had 8 receivers last night. 4 different guys carried the ball. Xavier Worthy didn't do much. It's not about one player. Rashee Rice is coming back this week. Good luck. Good luck stopping him. Because when Emma Holmes steps up in the pocket or out of the pocket, this is unequivocal. Nobody can argue this. Nobody would argue this. No football person anywhere in America would argue this. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest professional quarterback out of the pocket in history. It's not close. And here's what's crazy. He might not be top 50 in the pocket. You might be able to just sit and rattle off quarterback after quarterback after quarterback that were better in the pocket than Mahomes. He's good in the pocket, but he's not great. That's not his thing. He doesn't just stand in there and pick you apart. It's a thrill show. It's pure entertainment every single time. It is so much fun to watch. You know what wasn't fun to watch? The Chiefs, it was fun to see the Chiefs win last year. When were they fun to watch? At what point last year were the Chiefs fun to watch? I don't remember it. I'm sure there was a game or two. I could probably go back and look at the schedule. And there was a game or two where they put 38 on the board and maybe they were pretty nice that day or something. But I don't remember those. What I remember, everything was a struggle. Everything was Spags dialing something up, taking some chance at the end, a blocked kick here, a doink off the upright there, a sack strip with 32 seconds to go that stops a drive. I mean, that's all I remember. Mahomes had a couple magical plays at the end of games and they won 23-20 or something like that. But they're a thrill ride again. I think we'd all agree after this nearly decade-long run with Mahomes as the quarterback, the best Chiefs teams, the ones we certainly remember most fondly, are the ones that are a thrill ride. That you sit down, you work your tail off all week, you're committed to whatever it is you're committed to in your life, and for 3 hours, 1 day a week, you sit down and you watch your football team, and it's just the most entertaining thing you've ever watched. That is so back, baby. Hey, I'll just go ahead and call this the golden age. This got to be Trump. This got to be the Trump effect right there. You bring him back in, everybody's optimistic, everybody feels good. They're not hanging their heads at Arrowhead anymore. The only real criticism I have right now is how did they enter this season with so little juice? All the talk in the offseason of everything they were going to do, in the first 2 games they were just flat. They were pretty flat against the Giants, really, and they won the game. How's that possible? A team with this pedigree, a team with this many good players, a team that knows how to win, how could they enter the season as flat as they did? Are they just bored until the postseason? I don't know. I do know this. Going 0-2 and having everybody tell them you were dead and gone and it's all over has really motivated them. That's a motivated football team that's playing very, very hard right now. And, man, they are just beautiful to watch on offense. It is so much fun. And Rashee Rice is coming back. I'm very excited about that. This happened on a day that the New Yorker, Mark, you're going to love this. The New Yorker yesterday morning, their feature story on their website was a story with the headline, quote, "The Kansas City Chiefs are depressing," unquote. That's it. That was their headline. Did they not watch the previous 2 games? Now, I know you could say they were depressing watching them earlier this year.
Yeah.
But what they were saying was, like, this writer couldn't possibly have watched the Jacksonville game or the Ravens game, right?
Yeah, they did pretty well in those.
I mean,
offensively.
Wouldn't you say that the offense is like 90% back to where it was?
Yeah. And I think the first couple games missing Xavier Worthy, that was a big thing.
I think it's a little more than that, but look, you can still criticize and nitpick and say they don't really have a very good running back. Those guys are running hard. They're doing their best. The running game for the Chiefs, I've always said this, they need a separate statistic. Do whatever you want. Any pass behind the line of scrimmage is a run play to me. How many were there last night? 5 or 6 of them?
Oh, yeah.
For 40 yards probably?
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of the run game.
That one touchdown to Hollywood Brown.
Exactly
right.
right
in front of him. Yep.
Exactly right. That's all part of the run game. It doesn't have to be Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. How many did Patrick Mahomes have last night? 40? Do you have 40 yards rushing or a little more?
About, yeah.
Yeah.
Without the kneel downs, yeah.
That's all part of the running game. It's all right there. I just love it. All right, let's get a call or two in here before we wrap it up with our final segment on Uncanceled. Here's Steven. Hello, Steven. How are you, sir?
Hey, well, Kevin, we played basically a perfect football game last night. In 70 years, only one other team has had no penalties and no turnovers, and that's the New Yorker article, I think, was referring to the strategy of the other teams. Dan Campbell, these supposedly genius tacticians, you have the best offense in the NFL. You're going to lose anyway. Spags has got you down. But you might as well throw. You might as well try something. I mean, that's why people consider the Chiefs boring, is because they lock. We may only get a game from the Bills or throw them out.
Wait. Who thinks the Chiefs are boring?
Well, I'm just saying that's why people might think they are boring, is because the Lions were doing 10-minute drives.
I know. Look, this New Yorker article, when he said the Chiefs are depressing, they were depressing to watch the first couple weeks. It was sad. They had no mojo. Yeah. They were hanging their heads. They looked awful.
Listen, if this is depressing, then give me another 10 years of dynasty.
I'm making fun of the author, Steven, that he's wrong. He didn't watch the last 3 games. The Chiefs are back. They're back. You know what they needed? They needed to lose. My wife's a big KU basketball fan. They'll go like 17-0 to start a year, and they'll lose one, and she'll go, that's great. They need a loss. They need to get – I'm like, no, you never need a loss. Well, you know what? Maybe she's right, because you know what the Chiefs needed? They needed some losses to get Patrick Mahomes out of his shell and have Andy to stop telling him to throw the ball away and don't run. And he is a force with his feet, man. And don't even get me started with how great he is throwing the ball when he gets out of the pocket. He's better at that than running.
I heard rumors out of camp that once Rashee Rice gets out, this thing is going back to rocket fuel time from 4 or 5 years ago. We'll see. I'm just saying why Chris Collinsworth nailed this thing last night. He said, man, we're just going to treat this thing like preseason until November, and basically until everybody gets their timing down. And we played a perfect game. Like, you cannot beat us. You cannot beat us with no penalties and no turnovers. I mean, if that sounds cocky, it is. But I mean, you saw it last night. If you know what you're watching, I mean, this is going to be a march. An easy march to the Super Bowl. I hate to say it. I mean, but that was my.
Yeah, I got to let you go on that one, Steven. You're jumping the shark on me now. You're forgetting how hard it is, and you're forgetting how bad they were a month ago. Anything can happen. It's the NFL. This is really hard, folks. It's really hard. What I'm telling you is they are set up right now. I think. Look, getting the 1 seed is going to be really hard. Buffalo's going to have an easier road to that. Chiefs have a harder division. So they're going to have to go on the road here. I don't think they're going to be playing at Arrowhead as the 1 seed. I don't. Now, what I saw last night, Steven's right. If you don't have a penalty and you don't have a turnover, they could win 10 in a row. They could just go crazy.
If they beat the Bills, they have a chance at the 1 seed. They have to beat the Bills, though.
How about let's beat the Raiders Sunday first?
Well, yeah. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
I'm trying to pump everybody up that the Chiefs may be the best team in the NFL. That still doesn't mean anything in this league.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean a thing. They had the best record last year, and they were not the best team. Would we agree with that? Oh, Mark won't go there. You can't say it, can you?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Say it.
The Eagles were the best team.
Okay, so where would you have ranked the Chiefs last year? About 5?
No, number 2.
Well, postseason, they got the wins, didn't they? So you got to give them credit for knowing how to win.
Getting those close wins was big last year.
You couldn't watch the Chiefs last year and think
ugly.
At any point they were the best team in the league. What I've seen the last 3 weeks is going to be impossible to beat if they keep this up. And the key to it, I'm telling you, is Mahomes keep running. Everybody I run into, they got to stop this. They got to stop running. Forget about it. It's over. The game has changed. It's changed right before our eyes. It's part of the deal. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. It's okay. You have to play that way to win the game in the NFL these days. Absolutely have to. All right, we come back. Mark's Mariners jump out to a 1-0 lead in the ALCS. And what was going on with that player for the Lions last night that picked the fight at the end of the game? We'll discuss it next on Uncanceled. So what in the world was wrong with that guy after the game last night? That was crazy. Brian Branch just sucker punches Juju Smith-Schuster after the thing is over, and then he met with reporters, and he stood there and answered the questions. And, Mark, I think you have this for us. This is, could this possibly sound more like a sore loser and nothing else? Let's hear what he has to say, and then we'll discuss.
In between the play, and refs don't catch it. Like, they be trying to bully me out there. Should have never did it. It was childish.
How do you process the way it went down for you guys tonight? Just having a winning streak snapped and coming in here against a tough opponent.
We beat ourselves, honestly.
What happened between the plays? What are you referring to?
I got blocked in the back illegally, and it was front of the ref. The ref didn't do anything, and just stuff like that. And I could have got hurt off of that, but I still shouldn't have done that. So
that was at the end of the game. You're talking about somebody hit you in the back? Juju hit you in the back?
Yes.
So Juju in particular was the one that hit you? Or,
yes.
Yeah. Were there other things that they were doing just in terms of maybe rubbing it in at the end?
Yeah, they were. It was a lot of stuff, but I should have showed it between the whistle, not after the game, and I apologize for that.
All right, there you go. And if you're wondering what that breathing was, most sports reporters are overweight and constipated.
We had a mouth breather right there.
Oh, buddy, he's like holding his breath like, he either needed to go to the bathroom or was going to the bathroom while the interview was taking place. But that was Brian Branch talking about what he did at the end of this game. He lost his mind. Their coach, Dan Campbell, was great about it, said it's inexcusable. That can't happen here. He's going to get suspended. He's got to miss a game, doesn't he, for that? Picking a fight and hitting a guy after the game?
Yeah, it's got to be a suspension and a big fine.
I didn't see one Chief do anything wrong. That doesn't mean there wasn't some video somewhere of something, but he's just standing there talking to Juju and just just hits him right in the face. So I don't know. What you don't want to see is some sort of fine or, you know what? If they want to fine Mahomes or Pacheco for going over there, they can fine him. But you can't suspend teammates at that point for coming in, I don't think, because there was 50 of them. There's 20 on each team that were right there. This is how you know how good the Chiefs were last night. That is a Lions team that thought, we're getting our piece of flesh. This is the time. We're the next big thing. We're taking over Kansas City's place. And they just got shoved around and humiliated. That was total frustration. That's the best feeling in sports, when you beat somebody so badly that they've just pretty much lost their minds. Did you see Greg Olson's hair yesterday from Fox Sports?
I did not.
Oh, my God, it's gone viral. It's worse than Trump's.
Oh, no.
He needs to cut it. He needed to cut it probably 2 months ago. I don't know. He had the Dallas-Carolina game, and it has just gone viral, all the shots of his hair. They're like, was he on a bender last night? Did he just get out of bed with his wife? What is this hair? It looks like a bird's nest. It's crazy.
Oh, no.
I love it. That's Greg Olson. And the Mariners beat Toronto in Game 1 of the American League Championship. Mark, your Mariners hat is so proudly on top of your head right now. You feel great, don't you?
I love it. I mean, they were not supposed to win that game last night, and to get the Game 1 win, now they have home field advantage, so that's huge.
And they're the better team, aren't they?
I think so. They have the better pitching staff, and that's really huge come October.
And they're a little more complete. And they just get on base all the time, right?
Yeah. And they've got Big Dumper hitting.
Big Dumper hitting home runs. It's a lot of fun. All right, the Vince Show's coming up next. He's going to have a lot more about what's going on in the Middle East today with Trump's visit to Israel. He is now in Egypt, meeting with leaders. We're looking at it live right there. It's almost 7 p.m. in Egypt. And he is putting together a coalition of countries to create peace in the Middle East. Good stuff. The Vince Show coming right up.